If you told me a couple of months ago that one of the best animes of 2024 would be about a boy losing his own nuts and a bunch of aliens trying to probe our main characters, I would honestly be telling you to chill on the conspiracy theories. But after seeing this beautiful chaos, I might just start believing the earth is flat. Dandadan is the example of an anime that can reignite the nature of the romance genre of anime, bringing a new twist to an existing and saturated formula and make the impossible challenge of not only appeal to an audience that enjoys that type of content, but is able to actually reach an even wider one by combining elements of the shonen genre. They have super high intensity combat against figures that seem to constantly be more menacing, stronger, and powerful than our main characters Ken and Momo. But how the was this anime so successful in the first place? I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the type of guy that watches this sorts of animes. I'm your type of dude that watches like Berserk, Vagabond, Dragon Ball, you know, all of those seinen fighting anime manga. But there's something about this anime that to me just works, and I want to explore that with you guys. I think the answer lies on a combination of multiple elements that just work in its favor. The main one by far is the main characters. Momo and Ken work super well as a duo. They steal the show completely. The interactions between these two is just a joy to see. They have very different personalities and ways to even see the world. And when they clash with each other, it's always accompanied with an over-the-top comedical tone. There's a lot of praise that I want to also give to the company behind the anime Science Saru. These guys clearly took a lot of creative liberty from the manga to make the anime work without deviating too much from the source material, even when it comes to the interactions between Momo and Ken. And I'm saying this because there are instances where they change how the event occurred in the manga, but always with the objective to emphasize an emotion or empower the scene. One great example is at the end of episode 1, when Momo realizes that Ken has the same name as her celebrity crush. In the manga, we only see her reaction of like amazement and surprise, but in the anime, it's emphasized with a zoom in on her eyes, along with an explosion in the background of the alien ship. Honestly, this moment is so much better in the anime. It amplifies Momo's realization of her love for Ken while also making it more comedic. And I do believe that at the same time, it stays true to the manga's original intent. I think the same can be said with the overall art direction of the show. While many animes of the romance genre look pretty bland, not only on a character art direction, but also in terms of just color palette, Dandadan's character design feels incredibly distinct, making it super easy to identify Yokinobu Tatsu's art. Science Saru did a great job in not only translating Yokinobu's art direction, but also adding their own touch to the formula. One way that they did this was by introducing a specific color to each of the yokai and aliens. This color completely floods the scene for the duration of time it's on screen. I think this creates a really cool, almost musical and rhythmic vibe to the episodes. You either have one episode that, for the most part, the scene is completely flooded with these colors, and then add on top of it a crap ton of action, but then on the next episode we are back in the real world, where colors take the shift of what you would see in the actual real world. It's like a time to relax, where characters go back to school, they develop their own characters, they interact with each other a little bit more. I think it creates like a cool duality of the normal and the absurd. I think doing this must have been really hard for these guys. If one scene sticks too long with these very vibrant colors, it definitely might feel too tiring for the audience, even if they don't really realize it. And that's why you can even tell when compared to some scenes in the manga, that they most likely prolonged some scenes in the real world, in order to give the viewer just a little bit more time to breathe between these very vibrant color palettes and what you would normally see in an anime. The opening song of this anime is an absolute banger. It fits incredibly well with a fast-paced, frenetic, and somewhat nostalgic vibe of Dandadan. I don't know about you guys, but to me, this song just throws me back to when I was a kid. You know, a time where I probably ate too many Oreos, and I was completely addicted with Pokemon Silver. I do actually compare this anime quite a lot with movies like Parasite or even Everything Everywhere All at Once. Parasite is a great example because it's a movie that incorporates multiple genres. It's a comedy, it's a horror, it's a thriller, it's a drama, it's a satire. Dandadan kind of feels the same way to me. Obviously it has its own thing, right? I would consider Dandadan a shonen romance anime. but it also incorporates other genres like horror, comedy, sci-fi, fantasy, supernatural stuff in general. It's also mega fast-paced and super unpredictable. And the way that it balances out humor and high stakes is honestly surprising, because on one hand you have all of this absurd and over-the-top comedy in one moment, and then right after, in a blink of an eye, you can go to a high-stake, super intensive fight. And this actually creates like a sentiment of keeping you on the edge of your seat. Like honestly, if a group of people sat down and tried to figure out theories of where the hell this story is gonna lead next, good luck. 99.9% would fail miserably. And probably that one dude in the corner on Reddit with some wild ass theory about this is probably gonna be right. And even he is probably going to be surprised about it. I've seen a lot of criticism actually about the first season of Dandadan, especially on my anime list and some YouTube videos. And a lot of people seem to be arguing that this anime feels very much like a product. Something that was very specifically designed to sell, and especially to appeal to a new generation, packed with tropes and elements that make it feel more like some sort of McDonald's meal, a quick and easily digestible meal. And while I understand the argument, a lot of stuff we enjoy is made exactly the same way. Take Dragon Ball for example, a franchise that I absolutely adore. It's one of the biggest franchises of all time in anime history, and I have no doubt in my mind that Akira Toriyama most likely took design choices in order to appeal to a specific audience. And let's be honest, everything at the end of the day needs to sell if you even want to survive. That's just how things work. Another criticism that I've seen, and this one is more interesting, is about the story being so absurd that it lacks any sort of coherence, especially on the fighting front, since the power scale and the power levels just don't really make any sense. Now, to be fair, I have not read the manga so far, but at least with this season, one thing I'm dead sure. This isn't about power scaling. This isn't even about fighting at all. The relationship between these two characters, Momo and Ken, are the main component of this dish. And the over-the-top comedy and absurd fighting have the objective, in my view at the very least, to emphasize the idea of this young love that feels super intense, raw, and full of excitement. It's a mix of uncertainty and the thrill of finding something completely new. Our emotions during this time are like extremely amplified. We can't really stop thinking about the person everywhere we go. Honestly, it's something so pure, so innocent, and so genuine and raw that you don't really feel that sentiment twice, at least in my experience. And sure, will Dandadan be able to capture this idea of young love across multiple seasons? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, very few animes can capture the essence of young, thrilling love in such a crazy yet relatable way like Dandadan does. With all the hype that it's getting, at least in my book, it's a well-deserved one.